The Walking Dead, Dead City Season 2 is finally back in full force with Episode 4, and this one had everything fans could have hoped for. After a slightly slow Episode 3 that gave us a look into Central Park's survivor group and Herschel's strange relationship with the Dama, Episode 4 picks up the pace and delivers a thrilling ride. From shocking secrets and twisted motivations to long-awaited character reunions, this episode packed a punch in every single scene, and I was hooked from start to finish. Episode 3 did offer some important groundwork, especially when it came to Herschel's secret meetings with the Dama. Even though the Central Park storyline didn't really excite me, I can see why it was necessary to establish Herschel's inner conflict and his shaky loyalty. That part of the story truly pays off in Episode 4 as everything begins to connect. The tension between mother and son becomes even more painful when you realize Maggie doesn't fully understand what her son has gotten himself into. And Negan of all people is the one who sees the truth before she does. The moment that really made this episode unforgettable was the reunion between Maggie and Negan. As someone who's been following these two characters for years, their scenes together always hit differently. We've watched Maggie go from deep hatred and pain after losing Glenn to reluctantly working with the man who caused that loss. Negan's redemption arc has been one of the more complicated and emotionally charged storylines in the Walking Dead universe. He's not the same man he was when we first met him as the brutal leader of the Saviors, and this episode proves that once again. Negan and Maggie's reunion is laced with old wounds, tension, and a weird sense of care. They're not friends. They never will be. But there's a strange understanding between them now, almost like they've both accepted the trauma that ties them together. It was such a powerful scene when Negan warned Maggie to stay away before the Dama could get to her. In that moment, he wasn't playing games. He was trying to protect her. And while Maggie doesn't trust him fully, she finally sees that Negan's not just doing this for himself, he's trying to keep his own family safe. That reveal hit hard. Negan's been putting himself in danger not because he wants to get back to his old villain ways, but because the Dama has leverage over him. That's something Maggie understands, especially as a parent. When Negan confessed that he had to play along with the Dama to keep his loved one safe, Maggie didn't argue, she understood. There's something so human about that moment. Two people scarred by history, choosing not to fight each other for once, but instead quietly acknowledging their pain. But don't think this episode was all emotional bonding and sad backstories, it had plenty of action too. One of the wildest parts of Episode 4 was the twisted gladiator-style walker fight. The whole crew, including the Dama, the Croat, and Negan, visit Bruegel at the Metropolitan Museum of Art to convince him to join their mission against the New Babylon Federation. And that's where things get crazy. Bruegel is a wild character. Ever since his introduction earlier in the season, I had a feeling he was someone to watch. He's got a weird charm, like Negan did back in the day, using jokes and a fake friendly attitude to hide something much darker. His arena, where walkers fight in brutal battles, is a twisted form of entertainment in this post-apocalyptic world. And while I suspected something shady was going on, I didn't expect the shocking reveal about Bruegel's secret. Turns out, his so-called unbeatable walker champion isn't even a real walker. It's his former bodyguard Tony, dressed up like a zombie and trained to fight. That moment was so creepy and clever, it fits perfectly with how Dead City constantly finds new ways to surprise us. Negan, of course, catches on to the truth and uses it to his advantage. Instead of exposing Bruegel, he quietly keeps it to himself and uses that knowledge as leverage. It's a classic Negan move, and honestly, it was kind of brilliant. This episode also gave us some insight into the Dama's past. Before the world fell apart, she was one of New York's most powerful cultural figures, a major critic who basically dictated what was cool in the city. But that power didn't last. Watching her navigate this new world and trying to rebuild control is fascinating. She's manipulative and dangerous, and her connection to Herschel only adds to the emotional stakes for Maggie. And speaking of Herschel, this episode confirmed what Negan warned about: he can't be trusted right now. He's keeping secrets from Maggie and continues to meet with the Dama in private. It's heartbreaking to see how confused and possibly manipulated he is. Maggie is already carrying the weight of her past, and now she has to face the possibility that her son is slipping away. It makes her alliance with Negan even more complicated, as she's forced to choose between her pain and what's right. The overall structure of this episode was solid. The pacing felt much better than the previous episode, and every scene pushed the story forward in meaningful ways. Whether it was emotional growth, character conflict, or shocking plot twists, Episode 4 kept me engaged the whole way through. The return to the gritty, intense energy that defines The Walking Dead was much needed, and I'm honestly excited for what's coming next. Dead City continues to prove why spin-offs can work so well. By focusing on a smaller cast and a tighter story, the show creates space for these characters to evolve. Negan and Maggie are no longer just playing out the same arguments, they're moving forward, slowly and painfully. And with each episode, we get more layers to unpack. I can't wait to see how Bruegel's alliance, if it even lasts, affects the power struggle with the new Babylon Federation. Plus, with the Dama growing more ruthless, Maggie and Negan will need to work together more than ever, whether they like it or not. And don't forget about Herschel. His storyline is still bubbling under the surface, and I wouldn't be surprised if a major twist involving him happens soon. Dead City Season 2, Episode 4 had everything: intense fights, emotional reunions, power plays, shocking secrets, and compelling character development. It brought back the heart and thrill that made The Walking Dead so popular in the first place. If you weren't hooked before, this episode is a game changer. Whether you're here for Negan and Maggie's impossible partnership or just love seeing walkers used in creative new ways, Episode 4 delivered on all fronts. Now all eyes are on what comes next.